Alright folks, we got another Tom Petty tune today. This one's I Won't Back Down, arguably one of his most famous songs. So it's pretty easy, and we're just going to jump into it here. There's going to be, you could say 4 or 5 chords. We're going to use a variation of a C. So you're going to use an E minor, you're going to use a D major, and you're going to use a G major. And those are going to be your main chords for your verse, but we're also going to use the C add 9, which looks like this. Alright, so your E minor, you're just going to use 2 fingers, and you're going to put, I'm just going to use my pointer finger and my middle finger. I'll change which fingers I use on this chord depending on like what chord progression in which song I'm playing. It's just going to vary, you know, depending on which chord comes next and which fingers are easier for me to use now and to move into the next chord. So right now I'm just going to use my pointer finger and my middle finger. My pointer finger is going to go on the 2nd fret of the A string. My middle finger is going to go on the 2nd fret of the D string, and the rest of the strings are open. So that sounds like, okay. And then the next chord is going to be your D major, and so you're going to play an open D, and you're going to have your pointer finger on the 2nd fret of the G, your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the B, and then your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the E, little E. Okay, and when I'm playing this chord, I've said this in other videos, but I like to also play the open A string with that chord to kind of give it a little more power. So rather than playing it like this, I play it like this. Here, it's just kind of got that a little bit more like kind of, oh, I don't know, like just power behind it, you know? Okay, so you got your E minor, your D major, and then you're going to come to a G. And so what I do here, I'm going to use my middle finger for the 3rd fret on the big E string, and I'm going to use this fat part under here, like the pad of my finger, to mute the A string. Okay, so I got 3 on the G, muted A string, open D, open G, ring finger goes on the 3rd fret of the B, and then my pinky goes on the 3rd fret of the little E string. So your G chord sounds like this. Now, those are your 3 main chords for the verse. You're also going to use this C add 9. And so what you're going to do here, you're going to take your middle finger and put it on the 3rd fret of the A string, and you're going to use your pointer finger on the 2nd fret of the D string. Your G string stays open. You use your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the B string and your pinky on the 3rd fret of the little E string. And I like to use my middle finger up here to kind of block off the big E string, to just kind of touch it, and that way it's muted too. Kind of the same thing I was doing in this G chord with the A string. But we're down here now, and I'm using the top of my middle finger to muffle that. Now you can also wrap your thumb around and kind of touch the E string with that. That weirds some people out. And it's not, to me on that chord, it's not extremely comfortable, but you can do it if you'd rather do it that way. I'm just going to use my middle finger to touch that up top. Alright, so those are your 4 chords. E minor, D major, G major, and C add 9. Okay? So what we're going to do, we're going to come to this E minor, and you're going to palm mute pretty much most of this song. So palm mute, you just take this part of your hand, this kind of fat meaty part of the side of your palm, and you're going to put it on top of the bridge where the strings come over the saddle. Alright, so and I'm going to keep my hand here. Now on these chords, I told you the full body of the chord, how to make the whole chord with your hand, but really you don't need to play all that. It's good to have that in your head to know how to get to those chords quick and to make the whole chord. But right now, you're not actually going to play the whole chord, but I would suggest you keep your fingers on your left hand, or whichever hand you're using on your fretboard. You keep your fingers in the position of those chords. So we're going to come to this E minor, we're going to palm mute, and then we're going to hit it 4 times on, let's say, the top 4 strings. So you'll leave the bottom 2 strings, your little E and your B string. You won't strum those, but you'll hit the top 4 strings. Hit it 4 times. And then you'll come to your D chord, hit it 3 times, and then come to your G chord and hit it 9 times. Okay? So all together that sounds like... play through that again, but rather than going to your G, you're going to go to your C add 9. And now go back to your original pattern. Okay, makes sense. So, depending on what part of the song you're in, you're either going to play, well, let's see, how would you word this? You're either going to play to that point and then start over, or you're going to end on that G one more time and then start over. So it would look like, I'm just going to name the chord that you end that on. It would look like G, G, C, G, or it would look like G, G, C, G, G, and then you would start over from G, G, C, G. However, depending on which part of the song, that might not make sense to anybody. It makes sense to me, so I'm sorry. If that doesn't make sense to you, comment and I'll try to explain it a little better. So that's the whole verse of the verses. That's all of the verses of the song. And then into the chorus, you leave off of that G, and then you're going to come into your, what you would call probably your standard C shape, which looks like this, and you're just going to use your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the A string, your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the D string, the G string is open, your pointer finger goes on the 1st fret of the B string, and the little E string is open, and you're going to want to mute the top E string, either with your thumb, or what I'm going to probably do is just use the top of my ring finger. And you're going to strum that 8 times, and then you're going to go to your D chord, and you're just going to go back and forth. And you'll do that pattern 3 times. So it's going to, and then you're going to go back into your original pattern of the verse, and you'll play that twice. So I'll play through the chorus, and then I'll show you what I mean. Okay, that's the whole song, except for this sweet little lead part that we're going to do now with the slide. And so this is pretty awesome. So